Okay, so today we're going to be talking about for somebody in a PMO type role, what are some workflows that you could build into Airtable, even outside of just, I don't mean to say just, but just project portfolio and program management. And sorry, I don't think that I got that in the right order. Kelly here is the expert on that topic. She's our director of client experience here at Optimize, and she has some amazing experience. Kelly, if you want to give a quick intro, and then we'll jump into the question.
Yep. Thanks, Ben. I've been at Optimize as Director of Client Experience for a couple months, but my experience related to today's topic comes from a couple years of managing PMOs at publicly traded security companies, and even prior to that, managing security programs for customers, and then also across a big holding company, a collection of properties.
Awesome. So what we'll be talking about are what workflows have you seen built into Airtable and that are important to someone in a PMO type role. In our last video, we were just talking through like, here's all the different softwares you could replace, like what somebody's doing day to day in Airtable. And that kind of brought up, well, we're talking about budgeting, we're talking about project management, task management, maybe approval workflows. So what, in your experience, are some great workflows to start with in Airtable?
Yeah, those are all great ones. Just thinking through like my building evolution, it definitely started with those first key pieces, projects, programs, portfolios. Obviously, we had the fundamentals that you need in Airtable, like which people were on which teams, what were their roles, what was kind of their area of expertise, which that actually led us into looking at people development. And in certain companies and in certain teams, like there's a lot of investment back in people, and to make sure that you're planning properly year over year, but that you're also making sure that the company itself has, the right. My experience being on security teams, we needed to know that we had, the breadth and width of different security certifications, and so, looking across the team and seeing, hey, maybe we're a little bit low in this specific security certification, tying that to the evolution of an individual at a company over time, really pulling all of that together, made it very easy from a leadership perspective to say, yes, Kelly should go to this conference or go take this certification. But it also was really easier from an individual to go in and request that. So what would have been done via email or a document to like write up a justification and send that to someone, or here's the link in SharePoint. We did a full approval process. So I could go in and put in the things that I thought were relevant to my development as an individual over time, give some information around budget, why I thought it was important, what the value back to the company might be. And then that would go through, an approval process from my leadership up to where, they did bigger budgeting. But the same was very easy for me leading a team, that they could put all of their information in, and then I could kind of see year over year the type of training that they were asking for, and also like how was it contributing to their success? Was it making them a more rounded security individual? So that whole process being managed again in Airtable versus trying to find another system to collect information via form really made our life easy for that. Other things that we
Well,
did
actually,
that grew.
I want to touch on that one real quick because that one is actually, I think, one of our most common use cases in Airtable, which is, and it often ties into like the event management team for like attendance at trade shows, basically, but a trade show tracker or event tracker where people can say like, here's all of the events that are approved for our company to go to throughout the year, and then people apply to go to it, they get approved, they keep track of their budgeting in Airtable. And then taking that a step further to what you're talking about is basically like tracking educational hours is what we've seen, where okay, this person attended a 2-day event, so they get this many educational hours. It helps. We've basically seen systems created in Airtable to keep track of that over time, because like sometimes there's requirements. So I just wanted to touch on that one because I think that one is a great one.
It definitely is, and we're working with a customer right now where we're helping them build out that process internally, and there's a lot of components to it. It's not just, hey, we're going to this event, but did you go to the same event last year? How many events did you go to this year? Do you need different technology to support being at that event? And what's the overall investment and then value? of sending someone somewhere for something. It's just so interesting that you can kind of pull all of that down into something that's a lot more easy to review from like an analysis perspective.
Yeah. And who else is going to that event? Because sometimes
Right.
way too many people apply.
Right.
Okay. What are some other workflows outside of that are key to someone in a PMO type role?
So definitely annual planning, both from like the budget perspective, but even more importantly is what are the goals of the company and how does that cascade down to what is relevant to our team. So a lot of companies follow a BPM or an OKR, and I'll define all the acronyms. So BPM is big picture priorities and measures. OKRs or objectives and key results. They're honestly very similar. If you think of your objective or your big picture, this is where you want to go, right? We're in the US and we want to go to Australia. The pieces below is how you measure that you're going in the right way. So it's really hard sometimes when you might have an objective of, increase shareholder value. Well, that is extremely hard to measure. So you break it down into those key results, and there are things that can be tracked. And in some cases, you can start to define your key result and you realize, hey, we don't have a mechanism to deliver that. And so that's where the alignment between projects, programs, and portfolios can directly touch that BPM, annual goal tracker, OKR tracker. And so having them tied together, again, keeps you from having to update information in two different spots. Because if I might have 3 projects that all tie to one of our bigger goals for the year, and being able to kind of roll up the status of those or highlight, hey, 2 are great and one's at risk and here's why. Just really from like a dashboarding experience from a leadership or from a leader's perspective, they really need to be able to visually cue into something to ask a question. If it's a whole lot of text, if it's a whole lot of words, if it's a lot of things to flip through, it's hard to get engagement sometimes, versus what you can do from a dashboard perspective with tons and tons and tons of data and put it into a great chart, a great pivot, even just a big number block. That is something that really drives good conversation, and having all of those different trackers together versus, again, trying to pull data from this system and this system and this system, really, again, I just think it helps tell the story that you need to.
Yeah. I think from Airtable, what we've seen is like they've tried to map this out into a supply chain for some like distinct workflow or some distinct departments, I would say, like, for example, like a marketing supply chain. So really, I think like if I summarize I think there's 4 steps. There's intake, prioritization. I don't think I'm going to say the third one right, but maybe it's production, and then analyzing results. So it's really any workflow from what I'm hearing you say is also aligned with Airtable, like anything from planning all the way to analyzing the results specific to project, program, portfolio management.
Yeah. And again, being able to follow that through in a streamline, like I think, sometimes about like pulling that one string out. You have tons of things going on. You have tons of people, you have tons of goals, lots of budgets, lots of projects. And to be able to pull the thread of the thing that you need to tell the story on is I think one of the like fundamentals of Airtable that needs to be communicated. It's when you first get started of it, you have a specific problem. I need to solve this one thing. But when you start building the other pieces around it, that's when you start getting a lot more value out of it.
And that's typically like exactly where people get started with us at Optimize, right? They have like one clear specific thing that they're trying to do, and then it just expands.
Yeah, it's been great talking with a lot of our clients recently that, maybe had a smaller to a medium project a couple months ago. We've been helping them here and there with a question. And now all of a sudden, the team, the company is really starting to get buy-in and more stakeholders want to start using it. So they're starting to expand out their use cases. We have a lot of conversations about that.
What are some of those like starting, like maybe somebody doesn't even start with the things that are direct to a PMO role, like they don't start with project, portfolio, program, and portfolio management. what are some of the other things that people start with, and then maybe they eventually they get there?
Yeah, I definitely feel that a lot of people start with just a contact database. Who are my partners? Who who am I buying from? Um, who do I need to follow up with?
Mm-hmm.
And that fits whether you're in a PMO or you're in marketing or you're in other teams, right? You all need to know, who do I work with where, and even just starting that, and again, having that in a relational database, because there's usually more context to one company. Just starting there, I think, helps people like really start to at least have now one data problem in a tool that manages that data and the relationships for them, and then it expands from there.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people watching this, and a lot of like this is like what we hear from clients, they often start with just the like they're bought into Airtable. They know they can kind of see the vision of what they could build in Airtable. But then people run into a lot of challenges when they try to expand it to the whole team, because maybe the team has like, I want to say something like tool fatigue. Maybe they've used other tools before and they're like a little bit resistant, or they're resistant to a new tool. So if you want to learn more about how to get buy-in from a team, like if you're using the tool, but now you want to get the rest of the team to come in, click the video here on the end screen, and Kelly and I will talk about that next.